This is the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show. Dr. Meleeka has a background as a clinical psychologist, actress, director, model, and human rights activist. The Dr. Meleeka Clary Show will help move you towards bettering the quality of your life with positive psychology. So please welcome your host, Dr. Meleeka Clary.
Welcome, everyone, back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network, where we're coming live. I am so blessed today to thank you, God, for allowing me to be able to do this show for another week and another day. And I always have to say that because it's not guaranteed that you get up in the morning and to be able to do something that you like. And so to me, that is a privilege. And so I'm honored that he allowed that to happen. And I just asked for more days. And I really want to identify something today. You know, this is supposed to be, and I'm going to have to stress this, Mental Health Awareness Month. When we talk about Mental Health Awareness Month, I really want to make sure the message is clear. It's not just a month, it's every day. Every day is different for anyone, anybody. It's different. Some days you feel like a certain way, and it might be good or bad. You may have a bad day. So to me, it's not just a month, and I understand the awareness part of it, allowing people to identify it, but I want you to identify that it's every day. We fight a battle to stay positive. We fight a battle to be healthy, to stay healthy, to take care of ourselves. We fight that battle because there's so many things that happen in the day we're not prepared for. And as being human, we really don't know what's going to happen. Yesterday was a good day. Today could be, I would say, maybe a bad day. But it's interesting because you still got to fight through those challenges. And fighting through those challenges, you still have to maintain your sanity. And you have to take care of your mind just as much as your body. So it's every day, it's a behavior and concern that you really have to pay attention and try to take care of yourself. I do this show because I really want people to understand I'm a human being just like you. I'm not perfect. Now I could do this show and then right after this, I could feel a different way. You just don't know that about because that's how life is. Sometimes you have perfect days and sometimes you just have days that you're like, I don't want to do this or I don't want to feel this way. And sometimes it's just not you. It just could be just the aura of things, just things that just happen and you just don't know how to deal with it. And I want you to understand that I'm like you and I understand. And so this is why I do this show. And I ask people to come on the show to share their testimonies and stories and challenges, what they've been through to help you have a better day as well as myself. Because there is things I'm doing that I'm like, well, I didn't know how to deal with that either. But they help me too because I've had so many guests already and we do have a really special guest, and I'll get into that. And they always have such great stories, but I know there weren't great stories when they were doing things and they went through it, but they overcame that situation. And being able to overcome a situation makes it a good experience so somebody else can learn from it. And that's important. And I have to share that with you because that's why I do this. So people can learn from other people's experiences. And sharing's caring. And even for myself. And I have to say that because it's very important. And I don't want you to don't understand that. That is why I do this show. I really want people to understand that no one is in this by themselves. Today is a bad day. Tomorrow will get better. Just stay in the fight. Because I'm with you too. I mean, I'm praying that my day will be better today. And then, or, I can't do nothing about what yesterday was about, but I could think that it could get better. And I promise it will get better. So, listen to the guests and their stories, and try to learn something and be strong. And we can fight this battle of mental health issues together. So it's not just mental health awareness for today, it's eternity, for our lifespan, that we are fighting this kind of battle to stay focused, stay good to ourselves, take care of ourselves, mental and physically, and be able to achieve the goals that we set ourselves for. Okay? Because these are goals that you want. No one else has the key but you. So remember, don't put too much on yourself if you don't need to. With that being said, I do want to give a contribute to, we lost a very inspiring person, Tina Turner. And I say that she is a legend and an icon to me because she was one of the people that inspired me to tell my story. And when I wrote the movie Three Corners of Deception, and it's based on true events, but she inspired me because she told her story. Mine wasn't domestic violence as much as hers, but it was mental abuse. And so that still is a violent behavior and something that happened. And so, I'm truly going to miss her because she gave me courage to tell my story. And I'm so glad that she has no regrets, at least by the interviews, that she had no regrets. She lived to 83. I only could wish that I have that many years that I'm able to live. So I have to say that we have lost an icon, a very interesting and nice character, a person, and her music was wonderfully. I enjoyed her music. I actually did get a chance to see her in concert, and that was a blessing. She actually threw me kisses when I saw her, so it was great. Me and my sister was like, "Oh my gosh, she threw us kisses." We was like kissing back, so it was a wonderful thing. And so she will be really missed. And I just wish her family just keep on going forward and keep her legacy going. And with that being said, we will be right back. We're going to take a brief commercial, and we will be right back with our guests, with the introduction of our guests. Stay tuned and do not go nowhere.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Thank you, my friends, for coming back and joining me. And like I said before I left, we have a special guest today. His name is James Grant. He is an entrepreneur and an author, but he's an educator. But he also cares so much about his community and the things he want to do. He has so much passion. He is best known of the power of God's consciousness. Hmm, very interesting book. But I'm going to let him tell his story. But as I say, I always welcome everyone, and everyone is a human being first. So let's get into our guests. Welcome, 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 welcome,
Well, thank
welcome.
you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here this morning.
Well, thank you for being my guest, James. As you know, I always tell people, this is about mental health. It's about doing things for yourself. Because even though I know you're an entrepreneur and I know you wear many, many hats and you do so many things for the community, but this interview is also about you as a person. And I have to ask you questions that relates to you. So as I am, I have to keep it real, my friend. So let me, I do. So let me ask you, what and all the things I hear about you, and I just mentioned your famous book here, and I'll let you tell your story. But before I get into that, who do you identify yourself as? Because, we all are humans. But like I said, I know so much about you. But that doesn't mean that you identify yourself as that individual.
When you say identify, I got to realize I remember when I was young, you always want to be like your favorite actor or singer. Or
Hmm.
maybe a pastor that might be on a pulpit where he articulate the word of God so well that he's able to
Hmm.
captivate your presence. But then I realized along life that I have to do a consciousness search of who I am. And in doing that, I have to realize, well, James, who are you without these other people? How do you stand? And I think a lot of that took prayer, a lot of that took meditation. And at that point in time, I had to get into myself to realize what is God's will and purpose for me at that particular time. And as you said, it led me to embrace the consciousness of God and still yet be able to move around in my community as I should. And that's one of the most motivating things that I can do, to see myself being able to give back to the community that I grew up in.
Wow. Well, that's interesting because, and I like that, you identify yourself as a giving and, I mean, giving to your community. And sounds like a God's child too, doing the things that he would love you to do.
Exactly. And
And it was well said. Well,
yes,
and with that being said, too, and we all have our different beliefs, and and there's no judging here. I'm a Christian, and but there's a belief system that maybe some people are not religious. Maybe some people didn't that weren't raised on religion. So, what is your belief mechanism for you?
well, let me address the answer. People that is not religious, people who might not believe in God, or whatever people believe in. As long as you're able to treat us or treat mankind with respect and dignity, that's all we need. And there's an element of truth that underlies with that. I can't come out
Right.
here and judge people. The one thing that I want us to realize is that I can't come and judge people. That's not what God wants me to do. What God wants me to do is to be the best that I can be and respect the other person being the best that they can be on all walks of life and all status of life. If we get that confused, and if we think that we are, anytime I think that I'm better than anyone, I already have a problem and I'm going to fall. So I have to be able to not only, as you said in my books, but not only be able to write in my books, even writing in my books, I have to be able to reach the level of everyone. A child should be able to pick up my book and read it and get some type of understanding. So I don't write for academians, and we should never judge other people based on their status, based on their academics, but based on them being a human being.
Yes. And, I agree with that. I wish it was just as simple as that. Because when you think about it, and it is, I mean, you said key words, respect. I mean, respect, someone else, their decision making, respect that, and just don't try to pour yours into somebody else's, and be kind to each other, and it's so sad that, just for example, like if you walk through the door, the courtesy is to hold the door, right, for the next person.
Exactly.
How many people don't do that?
Mm.
How many people don't do that? Just
I,
as
yeah.
simple.
Now that brings up a very interesting question, because I remember one day I was going in the bank. I'm not
Mhm.
wealthy. I was just going in to withdraw
Mhm.
a couple of dollars. So I open up the door
Okay.
for this young lady.
You just get that out there, right? Going to the bank, but just getting that out there.
I got
Let
to
me
get
just
that out
be
there. Yes.
specific.
Yes.
I ain't wealthy. Don't
I
be
got to
calling
be
me
a
up.
little more explicit on what I'm saying, because it can be blown out of proportion. Yes, I do understand that. And the person told me, and they swore, why did I do that? I can do this myself. I said, okay, ma'am, I have no problem. Other lady came in and she said, no, 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 please hold the door for me. So again, you have to respect people where people are at. There was no dialogue. And somehow in the bank, the person that didn't want me to hold the door turned around, and I don't know if it's because of the lady, but she said, I'm sorry. I am sorry. And I said, that's okay, man. I said, I will always keep you in prayer. And I want you to do the same thing for me.
You
So
know
that
what?
way it was
Yeah.
reciprocated. Yeah.
Wow. You know what? And you also said something like that. Was she willing to receive something?
Yes.
Because not just that, she might have wasn't ready to receive it, because she might have been used to just doing it on her own all the
Exactly.
time, and didn't know how to reciprocate when somebody actually is doing something respectful and say, hey, or courtesy, and
Yeah.
and open the door. You know what? You
Yes.
hit it. And on
Yes.
that note, I love it. Thank you. And we're going to take a brief commercial, and we will be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Well, we get it live here. Don't you go nowhere.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Well, we're coming live. Thank you, my friends, for joining me. We are going to continue with our famous and nice guest, James Grant. Welcome back. Come on back in here. All right, here we go. Before we went on break, yes, thank you for you summed it up well with your analogy and with your story. I truly believe that. I think people just have to be willing to receive certain things before they can
Yeah.
actually move on. So let me ask you a question here. We all have challenges in our life, and challenges are something that one could overcome. It could hurt you, or it could prepare you, or it could damage you too, because you may not feel that you can get over your challenge. Have you ever had a challenge that you was like dropped on your knees and it was just like, I don't know what to do? Because my show is based on mental health, but it's a lot of things that I'm doing. But here's the thing: people need to be able to come out of those challenges. And if you've had a challenge in your life that you really said, I don't know, how is this going to work out? Can you share a challenge in your life that it was something like that?
Wow. That's a loaded question. Bam.
I
That's a
know.
loaded question.
No,
It is
I know.
loaded because in my book, I have a chapter on trials and tribulations, why God put us through trials and tribulations. But let me just deal with the reality of what we're faced with every day. I'm not sitting here to be, some type of a reverend or pastor.
Mhm.
I have been that oh, I've been through a lot. Like, for example, let me use my last. I ran for Senate in Boston. I've helped every candidate that came out of Boston that's at the White House.
Yes.
And when I call, I couldn't get a phone call. I was told the reason why is because I have a very strong personality. The other thing is that I was told that they can't get nothing on me. That's very important. I can reiterate with that statement again.
Yeah.
And it's because I try to live a pure life. Now, I've been through a lot of trials, and one thing that I've come to understand about trials, because I've been through so much, I matured in my trials, and that's a very important statement. The maturity of my trials allow me to accept the challenges that life have put before me, and because I've had those challenges, I've learned how to enjoy the pain and the suffering that comes with those challenges. Many people give up, but it's not in the giving up. It's for you to continuously try and motivate yourself consciously that you would continually to move. Here's what I mean. There is nothing walking up, going to a senatorial race, and you're the only person that is running your campaign, right?
Wow.
And I had to face that. Many people have had their perspective of me because I'm very boisterous. I've lived in Roxbury for a very long time. I'm originally from Barbados,
Mhm.
but I grew up in Boston, and Boston became my home. And I would fight blood, sweat, and tears for Boston. And being placed in the position that I was placed in, it hurt me. And it also allowed me to understand that these challenges come so that you can grow and do better in life. And
Mhm.
as I took that, I realized that I became stronger. The strength of your integrity is not in life pacifying you. And I'll use this as an example if I can. You have children sometimes, the majority of the times, and their parents are millionaires. You have children that their parents would work hard and through blood, sweat, and tears to make sure that their children get a good education. When you
Mhm.
put them out there for life to challenge them, the ones who have understood what it's like to struggle are the ones that end up being successful the majority of the times, right? But then when you get
Mhm.
out here, life is whatever you want in life. Life is going to break you down in order for you consciously to say or determine how much you need that. And this is what trials are about. It's not for you to give up. You read all of these books on Sigmund Freud, all these psychological books. No, it's for you to stay constant and strive to do the things that you need to do to become a very strong person. That when people look at you and they try to break that spirit that's in you, or try to distract or destroy your consciousness way of thinking, that is when you're able to stand up and say, no, that's a joke. And then after a while, you can see the things that people are doing to you, and you can counteract very humbly, not arrogant, but humbly. And always remember, every trial and tribulations that you go through, it is a spiritual consciousness state of maturing, of and trying to define who you are in the midst of your trials.
Wow. If you don't mind, I have to say, woo, amen. Because I felt that like power in what you were saying, and you have it is very vivid. I mean, honestly, and it's true. I mean, I can relate to those trials and tribulations and how to deal with challenges, and you really summed it very well. Thank you. Like, wow. Okay. I don't,
And
that
that's
with
because
that
I
following is
experienced
difficult.
it. Yeah, and that's because I've experienced it. I've physically
Wow.
experienced it.
Wow. And I feel the energy and the power that you feel strong from it too. And that's really what people need to know. You know, it's a challenge that you went through, whatever that challenge may be, and whatever how heavy that is for you, it's still something to overcome that you can. You just got to stay continually, strong. It
Yeah.
shall pass.
Even
It
like
shall
when I
pass.
was even even when I was in college, I've wrote a paper on Hamlet, to be or not to be, and that was the topic. I took up liberation theology with one of the professors, and one of the professors the one that I took liberation theology up with, he said, "Mr. Grant, I would never call you James. I would call you Mister." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I have never studied this much since you've been in my class." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Even when I was getting my dissertation." And I said, "Why?" But now at that time, you got to look at me when I was 14. I would read Black Liberation Theology by James Cone. And James
Hmm.
Cone wrote two books on liberation theology. The first one was a very thick book, the second one was very small. So I had an understanding, and I was constantly reading. And then after he said that, he said, "I could get you into Harvard University if you were white." He said, "But because you're black, our people haven't conditioned your people to think like you." He said, "If I was to give you that window or that door," he said, "you would take off in this society." He said, "So we got to shut you down." And he gave me a D minus. And I help a lot of the students write the paper. The other paper that I wrote, since we're talking about trials, and that's supposed to kill my spirit. And I want to let you know, my mother had a third grade education. And I'm not sure if I can continue or wait for the next question.
Yes, I do want you to continue on that. And on that note, whoa, I want you to finish that. We will be right back. We are going to take a brief commercial. We'll be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Do not go nowhere. We are still with James Grant. Don't go nowhere. Come right back.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Mike Zorich, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorich, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorich has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network, where we're coming live. Thank you for coming back. We are still with the wonderful guest, James Grant. Welcome back, James. And you, before we went on break, you was about to talk about, I believe you was talking about one of your professors and waiting. If you can finish up that story, I would really appreciate it.
Yes. Well, what happened is that I took a course,
Mm-hmm.
liberation theology, and what I did was that I was trying to. So I read James Cone books. Did you guys catch that part, or should I?
Yeah, I did. I think he said if you, I think it was more like if you were a Caucasian individual, we could take you
Yes,
further in
yes,
life. Mhm.
yes. So the professor said to me, if you were black, I would have wrote you a paper and get you into Harvard. He said, but I can't do that. And he said, because the way that you think and the way that you see stuff, he said, I would not allow that mind to be out there on an academic level. And I said, well,
Mm.
why? At that point in time, I went to 3 years old. I said, well, why? And he said, because you have a lot of information, you're very well read, but your people would never respect you and give you the opportunity based on your knowledge. And he said, we never conditioned them to get that kind of knowledge. And he said to me, he turned around and he said, so I can't do that. He said, now, if you bring me to the dean, I would deny everything that I've said to you. He said, but I
Oh,
don't
wow.
know why I am saying this to you, but I have to let you know. He said, your people will never respect you, your progress, because they don't have nothing to go on. All they might have is a bachelor's degree. He said, but you are thinking on a doctorate degree at the level and age that you're at. We can't do that. And I said, well, thank you. Then I had another teacher and I took up Hamlet. The reason why I took up 5 British writers was because I wanted to find out about the Bible, because at that time you didn't have so many translations. You had the King James Version. So I went and I took the course. And the professor told me, he said, Mr. Grant, where are the cliff notes that you took from writing this? What it was me saying to be or not to be, which Hamlet has to revenge his father's death because his father brought him into the world. So I took that argument on the paper. And Claudius was his uncle who turned around and killed his father. And the only person that could revenge that and married Hamlet's wife, which was the father. But to make a long story short, so Hamlet was the only one that I can see that can revenge his father's death. To be or not to be, because if he wasn't in existence, he wouldn't have been able to do it, but he was born to do it. Okay. So the professor wanted cliff notes from me. Now I just came from Roxbury. I'm sorry, I came from Roxbury, trying to get in college, the first one in my family to enter college and graduate.
Mhm.
And I said,
Yes.
I don't know nothing about Cliff. I said, I'm sorry, sir, because you didn't pass any Cliff Notes out and I didn't get any Cliff Notes. Am I supposed to get it from the student? And he blew up. And I said, whoa. I said, but isn't that disrespectful? And he said, no, no, no. Now, maybe there's a code, but I also got a D- in that class, right?
Oh.
So I just said to myself,
Mm.
well, it doesn't, I said to myself, and I went home. The reason why I said my mother had a third grade education, which is true, I went home to mom and I said, Mom, I don't know. I did the work. My mother said, what do you mean? And I'll get back. And I said, well, I did the work and I'm getting bad grades. What is going on? She said, James, Since you're that determined to learn, try to get the syllabus as much as you can and read the books. You don't have to go to school. And I said, well, why? She said, because you're reading for knowledge. They're reading for grades. There's a big difference. You will learn and you will do something with the knowledge that you're getting. And I think from that day on, it gave me a lot of encouragement. And I see my mother in a total different light. But what happened at that two things, it could have broke me. And I strongly believe even in today's society, that's going on with black males. And that's the thing that we don't look at because we don't think it's that important. And until I started to grow up and move forward and try to do the things, I've worked for the state. I was an officer for the state. I've been in education. And even when I was pulling out the curriculum, I had a curriculum with Scared Straight. And I'm not interested in what somebody said, oh, Scared Straight wasn't a good movie. Scared Straight straightened me out. So that's one place I wasn't going, right? So it had
Mhm.
an
Yeah.
impact. And I think it had a stronger impact than somebody that is in these academics institutions feeding our black children and our black people certain type of information that is not supposed to be. And that's why I said, and that hurt me, but it didn't break me. So what I did, I started studying everything. A.J. Rogers, I could go back to Dr. Ben, all these other people that I started studying. What was black people's history before the pyramids? And the Atlantic slave movement is not our only history. It's a portion of our history. So
Mhm.
things started to shape and it started to take fold. And I was shocked. But what I'm saying, because of being bold and
Mhm.
being brave,
Yes.
sometimes you got to go beyond certain points to get to understand yourself. And every trial that you have is a chiseling of your purity. And when you go through that and you finish, you become a pure person and you realize that the things that's important to some people, you don't need that. You need, and that was my experience. You just need God in your life,
Wow.
you know,
You know
and
what?
you
And
it's
mhm.
positive. Go on. I'm sorry, man.
And I'm thank you for sharing that because, and it's sad that you went through that because I remember a similar situation myself, been through something like that as well. So it was across the board, males or females. And in
Mm,
my situation, I end up, getting rid of the professor. See, I fight that hard. And they actually used their reason. He didn't have a master's degree, so he shouldn't even been teaching college level, but they let
mm,
him go. And I actually retook the course and I got a better grade, but they didn't charge me. But
mm.
yeah, so I had to do that. He lost his job. End story. That was how it should be. Okay,
Yeah.
with that being said, we are going to take a brief commercial and we'll be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Do not go nowhere.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant. Like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Thank you. We are still with our guest, James Grant. Welcome him back. Thank you for your stories. I mean, that really helped a lot I know it's helping people. And, we all have different generations and we all go through our different challenges in life and obstacles. It's all about how you overcome them and what are you doing about that. Well, let me shift the direction a little bit to what do you do for care, because before we wrap up things and stuff like that, I want to know what you do for self-care, because no matter what we do, we have to take care of ourselves.
What I do is, and I did today, is every morning I would say, now if it's in the wintertime, I wouldn't do this, but every morning, spring, because it's light out, I get up 5 o'clock in the morning and I walk
Ah,
10 miles. Everything else, yeah,
don't call
everything
me.
after that. The reason why, the reason why I do that is because I want to get that out of the out of the
Yes.
way. So as I get that out of the way, I can plan better and I can do things a lot better. And that's why I do it. The other thing is that sometimes I would go to the beach and I would write because I realized that I'm not going to get on the
Love it.
boat because of my honesty. That's not going to happen. So what I do, I write, and I go by the beaches. One of my favorite is a beach in Marblehead, a beach in
Oh yeah,
Revere,
I know about Marble. Oh, I used to live in Revere.
where
Hmm.
where the um where the lighthouse is. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one. So I go up there and I
Um.
spend several hours up there writing,
Oh,
and
wow.
I try to put time in with myself. And it's very difficult because like um people think, and it's very hard to maintain a relationship because I've learned how to be by myself with myself, and I've learned how to laugh and joke. So what I end up doing is that I spend a lot of time by myself, and that's what I
Yeah.
end up doing. I that quiet time is very important. I love jazz because so I do,
Yeah.
like, so that helps me. Then all of a sudden I have to come back into an environment that is very intense. And when you, like, people go on vacations, they go boating, and I
Yeah.
understand that. But isn't it interesting that when you come back to your environment, you realize the stress that you've been going through, right? Both
Yes.
stress. And a lot of people don't pay attention to that, but that's what happens. And you have to be that type of person that sometimes you need a consciousness break from a lot of negativity in order for you to
Oh,
come back and deal with that
tell it.
negativity. And
Yes.
and and that's how I do it. I sit down and I write, and that's why I can write, because most of my writing is based on spiritualism, and it's trying to get people into a different state of mind, and
Yeah.
so that helps me out, and
Oh,
that's my psychology, just to sit down and write, because what it does, that's how I get to know who I am, including the trials and tribulations that I go through, the challenges that I face. When I
yes.
write, it's like me cleaning and flushing out my soul in order to embrace the knowledge and wisdom that God have placed before me.
Ooh, I love it. And I love doing the beach. I love walking on the beach. And I get such a flow technique when I watch the waves,
Yep.
and it just clears my mind. And I feel like, but it's easy to do that in Boston because we have a lot of water.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's water everywhere. You got the Charles River, you have,
Yes, you do.
Revere. I
It's,
mean, you
yeah.
got Hogan's Pond. You got the
Yes.
harbor. I mean, there's so much water. And it's like
Yes.
if you just go
Yes.
out there and just walk and just get your moment. I
Hmm.
love it. It just calms me. And
Yeah.
it's such a wonderful. So I'm glad you shared that. I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but I want you to, and I don't know if you have your book with you, but okay. I just want to let you know I have mine because he sent me his book. I
Ah,
got my copy.
yes, I
So
do.
just elaborate a little bit. What the power of God's consciousness? Elaborate about that because that word alone, I mean, it's just got to be something there that I'm like, wait a minute. And I did read some, and I'm like, whoa, okay, but you have to sum this up here. But don't give it all because they have to get the book, and you please have to let them know where they can get the book and everything because it is
Okay.
powerful. Go for it.
All right. What happened? The book is about getting in tune and allowing to get in tune with God's consciousness. The question is, how do you get in tune with God's consciousness? And one is that you have to read and study God's word. And in doing that, there's a certain pattern of lifestyle that you have to live. And that lifestyle that you have to live is what helps discipline you. And I always use the word discipline because I strongly believe that many religious teachers need to teach people that the word of God is a discipline. And you have to maintain that discipline in order to reach the potential of your spirituality with God. And that comes based on your consciousness. I am not writing a book to determine that because I'm black, the only people that God wants is black. What I'm saying is that in the book, you have is for everyone. It's not about because I'm a Baptist that I'm writing about Baptist religion. There's no teacher on this planet that we call Mother Earth can come and tell you that God is coming back for a religion. God is coming back for your soul. And how you live is very important. And the only way that you can captivate that type of living is through your consciousness. When people come to me and they swearing at me or they disrespect me, I look at them and I smile. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because my consciousness is above the ignorance that they're trying to perpetrate towards me. And I have to go
Mm-hmm.
above that. And these are the things that we need to understand. And remember, I told you, there would never be a situation where somebody would put me on their pulpit because I speak the truth unless that pastor understands my state of consciousness and my spirituality with God enough so he would know that it's somebody that is not only believing, but living the life of God. In the book, I talk about how pastors are coming out and they trying to keep up with the entertainment world. This is not what God is about. You have people that's trying to buy all these planes. I mean, come on, you're spreading the
Oh,
word of God. Now, I believe that God would bless you to that potential, but you
mm,
have to have that compassion. You can't sit around and do wrong to a lot of people in this life. And now all of a sudden somebody points you out. You revert now.
mm-hmm.
You say, well, I didn't need that plane. Brother, come
You know
on.
what? You are saying it. You are saying it. But
Yes.
on that note, we are going to take a brief commercial. We will be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Don't go nowhere.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. We're coming live. Thank you. We are still with James Grant. Welcome back. That was a very powerful moment. And when I say that, I know the power of God's Consciousness is a book that people should get. How do they find this book? Because you said a mouthful, and I think this is going to set the stage and what you're talking about, the consciousness and the discipline. And I think that people need to know, how do they get their copy? Where
Well,
can they
basically,
find you?
there's there's also, if you go to YouTube, there's a video. Just type in the Power of God's Consciousness by James Grant, and that video would pop up and give you a little bit of idea about the book. The book is also on Amazon.
Okay.
It's on iTunes, Barnes and Nobles. So it's basically on Macmillan Robinson. So the book is on the major networks that we need to get the book, and you can also um, get the book basically in on voice as well. So
Oh.
on Kindle as well. So it should be
Oh.
yeah, it should be. So I think that would be good. I think and the one thing I want to say about the publishers, I really appreciate their support. Um, I really appreciate them. Christian Faith Publishing, I appreciate how they work with me, and anyone that I know that really want to get a book published that's spiritual, and they don't always do the spiritual books, but it has to have a certain type of integrity and substance for the readers. And I think they did a very good job helping me and supporting me in that effort. And I was constantly talking to them, dialoguing with them, and they were there, and they were very, very,
Oh.
very supportive in order to
No.
bring the book to where it's at right now for audience and people to read it. I appreciate them so much.
Oh, that was a wonderful tribute. Thank you so much for that, because people need to, and then they can also Google you too, because I Googled you. Let me throw
Oh,
that out
and,
there.
and and the
I
one thing I
Googled
want to
you.
say too, that I also have a book called Women Are Gods by James Grant. And that was a contribution that way men can look at women from a spiritual perspective. And it was a contribution to my mother who passed away in 2007, and my sisters,
Oh,
because I'm the only boy. I'm the last, but they didn't spoil me, as you know, as you can see.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I can't see that. I just hear you. You taking a lead and all, but that don't mean that they didn't put their little hands on you and
Oh, they
made you
do.
great.
I
Okay,
can
I
show
was gonna say, all
I can
right.
show you the cuts and bruises.
There you go. Hey, I was gonna say they did their thing to you. So look, this is how clay is formed.
That's right. That's right. That's
So yes, they did spoil you. They put their
right.
hands on you.
Oh,
So I have to say that. Yes, thank
uh,
you for that. Well, I really appreciate you being a guest on my show. Thank you again. As we know, coming to the end here. Thank you, James Grant, for being a guest and your wonderful testimonies, and I'm sure for sharing and caring. So I appreciate you and thank you again.
and thank you so much for having me as your guest. I really appreciate it. And may
You're
God
welcome.
continue to bless this show. The
Thank
future.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And as I go, and when you want to get in touch with Dr. Meleeka Clary, and if you want to see Dr. Meleeka Clary's show, you can go to YouTube. You can go to my website, and all my links are on the website as well. When to follow the page, and you can go to my Facebook, Twitter, everything's there. And I have to say thank you again for tuning in to one more week of the Dr. Meleeka Clary show on the Bold and Brave TV network. If no one said it to you today, I love you, and please take care of yourself and be positive as much as you can. And today is today, and tomorrow could change. But stay in the
Mm.
moment and enjoy. Enjoy life. God bless you all.
You've been watching the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show. Tune in next week as Dr. Meleeka will help you shift towards a better life. But this show doesn't stop there. She'll provide helpful tips regarding surviving the entertainment industry and the judicial system with practical information. Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, here on the Bold Brave TV network.